Oh, you're good. 2, 1. More time with Myriad. You've got Coach Richie here as well as myself, Coach Jared. We're going to be diving into the level method assessment period, which we just completed. So this go round, it was a 2-week level or assessment period. Tell us a little bit about like our first onboarding experience of level method last July and how, like what the difference between that was and what this was here.
Yeah, so when we did it in July, we were really, the way that they recommend it from the folks at Level Method is that you do a 3-week block and you repeat each test 2 times. And honestly, it felt like it went on and
Forever.
on and
Forever.
on, forever. And so then when you go to do subsequent assessment blocks, that's just for the initial onboarding, just getting into Level Method and adopting it. Then they say you should do a 2-week block a few times a year.
So we joined, so then we joined the global assessment period, which is like every Level Method gym across the world. I think there's like 700 of them or so. We're doing it all at the same time when we did it, which was in January, I forget the exact dates. And we just finished that up last Saturday. So how did you feel this went versus the first time?
Well, it didn't feel quite so interminable. There's that. And I think a lot of people were better able to wrap their heads around some of the assessments.
Totally.
Right? One person said to me, hey, Richie, you deal with this stuff every day, but I look at my phone, when I am looking at levels like every few weeks maybe.
Yeah.
And so some of the tests that are maybe a little confusing or like, hang on, I have to Tabata this and then I have to do that many jump ropes and how does that work out? When do I have to do that? And some people that were like really confused by that the first time were less confused. Some people still confused. You just got to hang in there, I think on some of those things. And then a lot of success. Tons
of success, which we'll jump into in a minute here. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this 2-week period, I think I heard more people say like, kind of like the, aha, I get it, versus like the first time around when people are like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? What's Chalker Pro? What are the levels? And now a lot of individuals, especially after the last 2 weeks, were just like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is awesome. In fact, we saw a lot of people who either onboarded with us in July or slowly didn't really even have their levels yet, who weren't necessarily interested in Level Method at the time, start working their way through and being like, oh, this is pretty cool. I do get to test myself. I do get to see, set a baseline and then grow from there and have what they call with Level Method, like the GPS of fitness, essentially. Like get yourself on the map and now you can start to figure out where you're going with that. So that was really, really cool.
When I did my buddy's foundations, started getting him in the gym, he started getting his first few levels and he goes, Richie, is this supposed to feel like a video game? I said, is it working?
Gamify, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the cool thing is like the first time we did it in July, I know I was a perfect example of this where it's like, it was just get on the map. And that's for everybody. When they first come in here, it's like get on the map. When you first start with us, get on the map. As you first start Level Method and get onboarded, get on the map. And then quickly from there, you can level up. So speaking to that, I've got some data here, some numbers. In the global Level Method community, as I mentioned, there's 700 plus gyms. Myriad Fitness and Yoga placed seconds in how many people leveled up in specific assessments, specific tests. And I know you know the number, but can anyone out there guess? Put it in your head right now what it is. Do you remember what the number was?
You said it was 616.
Yes.
616 individual
instances. Yeah. So 616 times in 2 weeks, people PR'd, essentially.
Yeah.
They did something better in a test than they did last time.
Yep.
I know myself, sharing a little anecdote, like I think within the 15 different tests, I had 9 level ups, or maybe even 11 level ups. So like I'm 11 of those 616, which is like so awesome to see that number as we worked ourselves through. The next closest I think was like 400. There was one gym that had like 690 or 711. I think it was something like that.
Just a few more than us in that little bar.
But that was so cool to see. Like that was posted, and I was just like, I had to share that with the team. So, what are some individual stories that you heard throughout?
Yeah, in that we had a bunch of people get, maybe not a bunch. I know there were a few people that got like their first pull up.
Oh yeah.
Had a handful of like first strict muscle ups. Lots of people surviving those higher level Tabatas in upper body push. I know that was a big one for a lot of people. We really cranked up the volume on pressing work. people getting to some red levels, like in their rowing and the kettlebell and some of like the squat endurance tests.
Yeah.
You know, that people got into some of those higher levels, which is super cool. People getting bigger strings of double unders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a few specific
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll
ones.
call a couple specific here. So Jeannie Rieger got her first chin up in years. So Jeannie, awesome job there. She also did a 15-minute row. I was in that class with her. She was doing the 15-minute row, and it was like a big challenge for her to hit 15 minutes continuous and ended up hitting 2,955 meters. Erin Crowther hit 4,650 meters exactly in her row to get red 5, which was a huge challenge for her to get to. I think Sophie Keene hit 4,370 meters exactly for the rowing to get her to black. It was really cool with the rowing assessment. Like, I love that assessment because it's pretty black and white of like, I mean, they're all pretty black and white. You have to hit this to pass the test. But like, you get to watch yourself for 20 minutes.
Have the metric.
Exactly, have the metric right in front of your face of like, I'm either on goal or I'm off goal. Like,
Yes.
and I got to either push harder to get on it, or I'm just gonna kind of like slow down. I'm gonna fail and miss it. So it's like, it's kind of like a gut check, right? Like, I'm going for it or I'm not. Kelsey Williams got a chin up as well. Casey Y got a strict chin up that she's absolutely stoked about, and she should be. That is super cool. Coach Ian, he shared that himself. Like, he just gained a lot more confidence. He had a really big hip surgery, and the level method assessments allowed him to build more confidence in his movement as an individual, which was really cool to see. I know Brandon W. at the noon class hit a 400-pound deadlift, 405 I think it was, 400-pound deadlift, first time in like 10 or 15, 20 years, something of that nature.
Time.
Yeah, which is super cool. A couple more quick ones. Rosie and Brooke in the PM classes pushed the deadlifts and their techniques, and all hit some PRs on those, which is super cool. I know Rosie's been with us for 10 years, 10 plus years, so to still be PRing things is super cool. Coach Blair got a PR on Annie, which was super cool.
Yeah, neurological and core test.
Yeah.
Said he hadn't done double unders in like 6 months.
That's wild.
Crushed it.
That's wild. So very, very cool to see a lot of not only members, but a lot of coaches also, you know, taking part in this and hitting some awesome highlights throughout the assessments as we go through. With Level Method, another cool thing that it does is it gives us the data, right? And this is something that we're both going to pull out our computers really quick. So within our gym community, our CrossFit class, we have 54.1% of our members have a full level. That means they've done all 15 tests. Right now, we have 45.9% of our members who still need to complete a couple different assessments to fill out their levels.
To get their overall level.
To get their overall level there. I think I said earlier, we have like 15, 16 people that they just need to do one test.
Yeah, they're sort of like lactic tolerance.
And they'll have their overall level. So like that 54.1% could go to 60% pretty quickly. And they usually say like anywhere between 70 to 80% of your members having overall level is pretty good, because not everyone is going to want to do level method, and that's totally fine. Like, not everyone has to do level method. You can still get a great workout here just by following the system we have and doing CrossFit with us. Another cool aspect is the gym avatar. Can you talk to us a little bit about the gym avatar and break that down for us a little bit?
Yeah, so the gym avatars are kind of average across the gym, you know, counting all the folks in our system, where people's levels are at. And I think it tells us a little bit about our programming. And
totally.
It also speaks...
Which I know you nerd out on.
Yeah. It speaks a little bit to how we coach, too, which I think is interesting. And maybe some of our biases as well.
Yeah,
you know?
and I know you guys probably can't see this, but I'm just gonna hold it up. But it literally breaks down like every single assessment, where our gym is at, what our gym color is at. So give a couple highlights on that. And what you think.
some things that I think, you know, the two lowest ones for us as a gym are rings and lactic tolerance, which is either, you know, we're missing strength in the rings to be able to get through those dips.
Some stability.
Yeah, some stability, you know, and it's like probably dips in particular are just hard for people.
Yeah.
Totally fair. Ring dips and getting some volume on those. The lactic tolerance, like those shorter, faster, harder workouts, not too far away from what we're doing today with the deadlifts and the bar facing burpees. It's a sprint.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe we need some more short, intense workouts.
Totally.
Right? You know, this is where I start going, like, how do we bring those up?
Totally.
And then things that, you know, one that I think is interesting is like the weightlifting is disproportionately high compared to what our front squats and our deadlifts and our presses are. It's significantly higher. And I'm like, well, that speaks to technical capacity.
I was literally just about to say, you know what that tells me? That tells me that
people lift well for the strength that they have.
Exactly. It means that we do the snatch and we do the clean and jerk often within our CrossFit programming, and we coach it really well. So people can move a lot of weight because they technically are sound, but we could be a stronger gym.
Yeah.
Right? Like more of a what would be objective strength? Or
yeah, a little bit more objective strength.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I think is interesting is just that the overall level is Blue 1. And folks at Level Method are like, yeah, if your overall level in your gym is like, in those middle oranges or something, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And that where a Blue 1 overall level is like a pretty fit gym, which is cool.
It's very cool.
It doesn't...
especially after our first true assessment, right? Like for us to be in a blue level as an overall gym is pretty solid. Like that just, speaks to the athletes and members we have here, the coaching we have here, the drive. It's really, really cool to be able to break this down and kind of see where we're at with that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, and then, the overall gym avatar kind of speaks to me and how, I get to work on programming in the future so that we can bring up some of those things that we see as areas to improve.
Yeah.
Right? Gives me a clearer picture for a path forward on the programming coaching side.
Totally.
And then, me as an individual looking at my levels, like my running is still my lowest. Got to work on it, but it's also cold out and I don't want to run. So maybe that's this summer project.
Yeah.
Let's try and drive that up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think about that. And then when we reassess, whenever we do assessments again, like, okay, gotta do more running between now and then so I can bump that thing up.
Yeah. Speaking of which, our roadmap moving forward, this isn't 100% solidified, but we are looking to edit our annual calendar just a little bit. So some feedback we've received from members, from coaches, as well as just like the full-time staff that we've had some discussions about is potentially taking a pause and not doing a next global assessment, a next 2-week period in May, but rather than doing 3 in a year, just doing 2 in a year. And I think it's just like with our gym community, with our membership base, with our goals within our community, doing it 3 times a year would just be a lot.
Too much.
So doing it twice a year is going to be our goal that we're going to be shooting for. We don't have it 100% solidified, but what we're thinking is we love January because January beginning of the year.
January is a great time.
Yeah. And potentially September being the other. And the reason why September is the entire Level Method community as a whole does global assessments in September. So that is a time that everyone does it. And also that's a time when a lot of kids are going back to school. So parents are able to kind of find a little bit more time to get into the gym. Also, you can kind of reset your goals in August, September, knowing that you have October, November, December, and to really work hard to then retest again in January. So we might play with that this year, see how that goes. Maybe in future years we tuck it back and go until June, July, August, somewhere in that range. But right now we don't. We're shooting for probably 2 assessment periods because we don't want to test too much, right? Too often.
No, and I think probably try and make it shorter a little bit still because we had maybe a few more repeats than we need.
Having more alternative workouts available, I know something
certainly
we talked about available as well because. There are some people that are just like, I don't need to retest this right now again. Like, what else can I do? So having that is going to be big for us. So I think one of the biggest things you wanted to kind of share here was just like, we're learning.
Yeah.
This is new for us. Absolutely. This is new for us as well. It's going really well, but like we always want to be better and evolve into make it better for not only our staff, but for our members as a whole. And we're working on that. So anything else to add? Awesome. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for giving me a little bit of your time, Richie. 3, 2, 1, done.